All right. So do we have any health and welfare to share? Have anything that's come to my attention? No? Good? Everything's healthy? Okay. All right. And I'd like to call your attention to birthdays and anniversaries and Skyliner. This week we are celebrating Michelle Napier, Mark Jordan, and Ryan Napier's birthdays. Spouse birthday is Bobby Bennett's, his husband. And we are celebrating some road-anniversaries. Ken Evans with 3 years of service. Danielle Sperling with 2. Kim Crump and Pam McInnes with 20. Doug Stanley and Bob Moffitt with 23. Thank you all for all that you do. All right, so I'm going to let Brett have the stage here for a second. Your presentation to Derek.
President-elect nominee, elect Lori. I want to call up Derek, past President Derek, up to the front here. Every year we package a yearbook for the outgoing president and create one for the president as well as one for the Heritage Society to hold. And in the past couple of years, it has been essentially a collection of our Skyliners. But last year, the board decided that most of our history for the year is up on Facebook. And there's a cool thing called Social Book that will take the whole year and package it into a nice bound package. So we've done this, we went back to, I think Betsy Blaubelt's year, we were able to go back that far and redo these. And we have a stack of these ready to be presented to the Heritage Society, but Katie's not here and I wanted to make sure that we got to Derek. So I thought I'd come up here and just present it to Derek now. So Derek, congratulations. There's your, thank you for your year of service. And there's your photo.
I will just say that the pictures of me in here are not flattering. Most of them taken by Brett himself, so he needs to work on his photography. This one in particular, I think we were all French class.
Sometimes it's the subject.
Thank you.
Yeah, that way we're going to move on. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Derek. Okay, so announcements. October is Economic and Community Development Month. Beginning of the month, Katie gave out these signs at our meeting. Please support local. If you need one of these for your business, please reach out to Katie and she can hook you up with one of those signs. All right. Derek, do you want to tell us a little bit about the annual meeting?
Folks, we do have the need coming up in November to identify some of you to run for the board position that we have to be vacant, and then to vote on that of December. So we discussed this in the board last board meeting, and we have had this conversations with individuals of you who have shown interest. So just as a reminder, we have that coming up again. We'll be shuffling about and having private conversations with some or many of you. I would want to say, if you're considering this or thinking about it, I know that it's a big step. It's a big responsibility to join the board and kind of ramp up the usually work that you might have to do through the years, the coming years. But I would say that it's extremely rewarding. Everybody on the board currently, and as many years as I've been on the board, feels that it's one of the most extraordinary things that we do privately and collectively. It's pretty remarkable. And you can see that just by the fact that many of these board members return to the board as senior members for years past, which is kind of unheard of. So not only do they enjoy their experience, they sort of want more of it. You will see that even with the current board. Currently, we have Rick Novak coming back as a senior member. Carol Dodson came back as a senior member. Kim Crump is our secretary. We can't get rid of her.
I'll try harder.
Mark Jordan, Anita Bryant as well, all former board members who returned. And you can definitely expect that Brett Burbeck's going to have something to do with the board in the future years. So please think about that while we kind of get closer here to November, and as we kind of work the room and ask you privately. It really is a wonderful experience, and I think you agree if you ran and actually served. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to remind you that you should have received an email from Carol Dotson about the JDRF online fundraiser. So please check your email and help out with the JDRF fundraiser. Rotary's been active in that for a while now, and so we like to show our support. And you should have received an envelope today with your Monster Mash Cash Bash tickets. Please fill out. Okay, so you should have received your tickets today. Please fill out the stub with all your information. It's required for us for gaming permits, so please fill out all of that. And you're going to see for the first time, you have a little box to circle yes or no whether you're going to be attending in person. Okay, you do not have to be present to win. Just want to make that clear, but we want to know if you're coming so that we can plan accordingly for food and beverages. So please give those stubs back to Holly today before you leave so that we can take care of business with that. On that note too, we need to sell tickets. Please, 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 if everybody sold one, we would be sold out in a short amount of time. It would be wonderful. You're going to have a chance if you sell a ticket to have your name entered into a drawing. And that drawing will be for an additional ticket to win 10,000. An extra chance. Come on. And that's going to be drawn next week at the October 23rd meeting. We also need sponsorships. If you have an associate or a business that you do business with, please reach out to them. Our tombstone sponsors for this event are like a hole-in-one or a golf hole sponsor. They're $100. So reach out, let one of us on the committee know. That's Holly, Kim, myself, Michelle Napier. Reach out to any of us and let us know if you have anybody interested in being a sponsor. Doc Smith, snacks for this month. That's, oh, sorry.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. Carrie Evans, Christy, McMillan Goodwin, and I met this week for Doc Smith baskets. This month's snacks, granola bars, fruit snacks, those type of things. We are going to be doing 175 baskets this year, which is more than we've done in the past. So we'll need everybody's help. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.
And the dates on that are the December the 10th and 11th?
Correct. Yes.
And for Club Assembly?
Yes. And it'll be at the Baptist Church.
At the Baptist Church. Thank you so much. Okay. Calendar things. I just want to update you on a couple of calendar things. There will be no meeting on October 29th as we get ready for the Cash Bash. And you will not have a meeting on November 26th, so you can plan ahead for those of you. Christmas party for Rotary is going to be December 2nd. And so put that on your calendar. The November 5th meeting is going to be at the new hospital. We're going to be outside, so dress appropriately. And we're going to be distributing donuts and cider as a thank you to hospital staff. So that should be a lot of fun. Please come. November 5th is also the District Rotary Foundation celebration in Bristol, Tennessee. And you can check out the district website if you're interested. There are still tickets available. All right. Happy dollars. Oh, I'm sorry.
Will those calendar dates be sent out?
Yes.
Okay.
Who's happy?
Is anybody happy? Somebody's got to be happy.
I'll go back out to my car. I'm happy. My daughter's birthday was yesterday. She's in college, and so she's doing great.
All right. Thank you, Dad. Wow, you're really happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Chuck Ballenger is with us here today, and I just want to thank him as a board member for all he's done for us in public schools. He came to us at the beginning of the pandemic and had to jump right in and figuring things out, and it's been chaos in my opinion, but he does it. He sails right through. He doesn't complain. We talk 3 or 4 times a week. I just want to thank him for it.
My son Jacob's coming home for a week for fall break.
I'd like to pay $1 for a commercial.
The Humane Society has been running the Yappy Hour off and on for the last 10 or 11 years. What we're doing currently is changing the day of the Yappy Hour, which is always being Friday. It's changed effective this past week to Monday. So we'd love to have you down there, see you down there. The drinks are inexpensive, the meals are inexpensive from 4 until 6. So look forward to seeing you at the next Yappy Hour on Monday.
You still doing that at Benova?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's at Benova on Main Street. All right.
I'll owe you $1. I have a happy. My happy is my youngest one was inducted last night to the Warren County High School NHS, and I'm so proud of her. She's doing very well, and so we're happy about that. Okay, so attendance.
President-elect Lurie, fellow Rotarians. Today we have 33 members. We have 1 guest. Mark, would you like to introduce your guest?
President-elect Lurie, fellow Rotarians. I'm pleased to have my wife, Kat.
So I am going to introduce our speaker today for our program. We have with us Dr. Chris Ballinger, the Warren County Public School Systems. He is our superintendent. Dr. Ballinger hails from Oklahoma. He went to Oklahoma State University, and he went to Southwestern College where he got his doctorate. He has been in education for 21 years. He has had the roles of bus driver, teacher, coach, principal, and superintendent. He has served his community as a volunteer fireman and has been instrumental in developing youth programs. And he, quote from the website, was that coaching is a passion of his that he uses to lead in his role as an administrator. I present to you, Dr. Ballinger.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for inviting me today. And I want to thank you for everything that you do and helping out the school system. I do appreciate it. It truly does take a community in order for our system to thrive. And it is important to have those partnerships. And so, and Mr. Hirsch, I'll go out to my vehicle and get $1 as well here in a minute. But you know, I'm just happy that we're able to have our children in school. Last year was challenging. This year I will say has been more challenging than last. But our students are in there and our students are learning and we're finding out what we need to do for our students on a daily basis. And you know, I get reports from our principals weekly and hearing those reports from them talk about how some of those students are making great strides, that the plan we put in place is really working. So thank you for your support, and you know, thank you for your in advance for your continued support. So I do appreciate that. But this year, as far as opening school, again, our plan was we were going to start school in a phased program, and just before school starts, that gets taken away from us. So it has been challenging for us as far as when it comes to the requirements that have been placed on school divisions and schools just in general on a daily basis and working through those challenges. Sometimes those things change day to day, week to week. I typically have a superintendent's meeting with Dr. Lane. It's a state superintendent's meeting. We have those sometimes weekly or at least every other week. And the information that comes out can change from one week to the next. And it can change from that Monday from the meeting to Friday before school's out. So it's been a challenge these last 2 years with being able to manage and put something in place because of the environment that we've been in and the turbulence that we've experienced as school administrators in our community. But you know, as we work through this, COVID has been, of course, our main concern that we have had to make all these adjustments for. And when you look at it, Warren County has actually done a really good job with our COVID response to our school system. You know, yes, this year we basically already surpassed the total number we had last year, but we also know that the Delta variant was a little more contagious than what we experienced last year. And I do want to point out Mr. Hirsch in the back. Mr. Hirsch and his team have done a great job, and they deal with this on a daily basis. And Mr. Hirsch is dealing with this at 12 o'clock at night. So when he doesn't get a break from it. You don't know when you're going to get those phone calls for parents. And Mr. Hirsch has led our COVID response very well. And so I appreciate what he has done and what his team has done on a daily basis. It has been challenging. So when we look at this, we do have a new COVID dashboard, and that dashboard, I did present that at our last board meeting, but it is a live, up-to-date, minute-by-minute dashboard. So we're no longer sending those dreaded robocalls home that parents were so, you know, that you were, myself, I knew that I'd see a number on there, I'd hit off, and then I had to go hit delete because I knew what it was. And, you know, and I would receive one right after the other, right after the other. And so we knew that, you know, we were hearing from parents that, can you please take me off the list? Well, no, we can't take you off the list. So what can we do? Because we still have to be able to communicate in case of an emergency. And so we got with our technology department. We decided to come up with a way that we could automate our system to where the dashboard is live and it's minute by minute. So whenever a nurse at a site puts in a quarantine or puts in an active case, it is automatically populated to our dashboard. And it shows the day, and it also shows the cumulative. And so that way we felt that since we were able to offer that up to date in real life time, in live updates, that we could save parents from getting those text messages and those phone calls and everything that nobody was really happy about getting after a while. Because at some during the height of everything, whatnot, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you may have been receiving 4 or 5 phone calls, and one was going out for every positive case that was being reported to the school. And so one thing I also wanted to kind of point out is that I did send a letter home over last weekend to families just to kind of talk about a couple of things. And one was absenteeism in the schools, and kind of try to explain that our dashboard is not cases that are within the school system. In conversations with principals and conversations that they have with families, a lot of the misconception is that those numbers on our dashboard represent active cases that happen in school. But when you talk to the Lower Fairfax Health District and Mr. Hirsch and myself, we communicate with them weekly, if not daily. I actually was on the phone today with Dr. Green talking about something. I know Mr. Hirsch was on the phone talking with their epidemiologist yesterday concerning a school and situation. So, you know, as we work through those, it's important to know that they, along with our nurses, when we get that call from the parents, that it's not spread within the school. That's typically in the community. And that, yes, we still want parents to be vigilant about symptoms. Don't send your child to school if they're running a fever or if they're sick, or you may think it's this or that. You know, continue to still keep them home. Because our main goal this year was to try to protect instruction for each student. And that works differently for each child. And so by protecting instruction, we wanted to make sure that we maximize the amount of time that the student had in the classroom with the teacher. We know from last year, our experience with the virtual learning and with families that typically are not used to virtual learning, it was a challenge. Our test scores we saw a drop just like everybody else in the state. The only school that did not see a drop in their test scores was Warren County High School. And they still met benchmark at 80% pass rates in math and English. But every other school in our county did see a drop, anywhere between 25 to 35 points. Yeah, I'm not going to say on average, but that would be the drastic drop. And that is aligned with what we saw across the Commonwealth in all divisions. So we knew going into this year that we were going to have a challenge, and we knew that we were going to be faced with some things. And so, but moving into making sure the students are in school, and that when it comes to the education, we knew we had to have our students in person. So we wanted to clarify that simply because our dashboard is showing numbers, that doesn't mean that there's actual community spread in the schools. And until yesterday, I could say that we have not had an outbreak in our school. As of yesterday, we did have, and that's what Mr. Hirsch was talking to the epidemiologist for, and I was talking to Dr. Green this morning. But we did have one classroom at a specific school. It is a self-contained classroom. I'm not going to name the school at this time because I could identify those students, and that's the thing, we don't want to identify students. And it was just in that one classroom that affected 4 people. And an outbreak, by definition, is spread to 2 people from one source. And we had 4 cases. So, you know, we are continuing to follow through with our mitigation strategies. We're continuing to move forward with everything as we have in the past. But, you know, in my conversation with Dr. Green today, he said, you know, we expect there to be outbreaks in schools. Although schools are the safest place, typically within the community because of the mitigation strategies that are put in place, we kind of expected that. But this is our first situation. And he was actually telling me about Shenandoah having 2 outbreaks and that he was working on those, I think, last week. But we expected it to happen. We figured we would probably have a situation where we would have an outbreak. But, you know, we have done a good job. And in some of those situations, it's going to happen. As long as we continue to monitor, as long as we continue to track, quarantine, and to take care of the issue at hand, and we're going to be fine. And so in my conversation with Dr. Green, he said, yes, you've done everything right. And again, Mr. Hirsch and his team, they quarantined the people that needed to be quarantined. They worked through everything, and we're continuing to keep those students that were not affected in class. And so we're moving on. And we will see and monitor over the next 7 days if there's anything else that we have to adjust to. So I was actually kind of proud that I was able to say we had never had a quote unquote outbreak in the school, but as of yesterday, I can't say that. So, you know, but that's just part of the issue that we're dealing with this year with COVID. Rolling back to kind of instruction, our goal was we wanted to protect instruction for every student. And we know that, or we knew coming into the school year, we needed to maximize every student's opportunity to be in front of that teacher. As I mentioned earlier about the test scores, we knew that our job was going to be, we needed to find where those gaps were in that student's learning, and to be able to fill those gaps and to get them on level for where we could move forward with them and to grow. We knew that we had a challenge, and so we've done a lot of things this year. As far as we have streamlined our intervention programs at the elementary level. We used to have, you could have went to Resi's and to Hilda, A.S. Rhodes, and they would each have their own different remediation program. We have streamlined that. We're using LLI. It's Faunus and Fanil. It's a reading intervention program. And now each elementary school is on the, we will be able to have the same conversation at the table when we talk about our data and talk about our students, when we look at professional development. So we've streamlined a lot of that. The one big piece that has really helped us in this is that the grants. So we did receive a lot of financial support from the federal government through CARES funds. I think we may be up to about, we're not calling them by ARPA or what, it's CARES 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're up to CARES 7 right now, I believe is where we're at. And Mike was just telling me that he found out that the special education was going to get around $350,000 in CARES funds. And so we were talking just yesterday, so that may be CARES 8 now that we have to track. But we have utilized our CARES funding, and it has been great. So we were able to purchase a lot of technology. We were able to purchase a lot of instructional materials as far as textbooks that were very badly needed within our county. They also have a digital platform to where we can use those remotely. We can use those in various ways. So now the textbook is on that Chromebook. Yes, we do have the textbook in the classroom, but that student has access to that textbook at home and they're on their Chromebook. So we did a lot of that with CARES funding. But one of the main pieces I feel that was important was we knew that students coming back into school, there was going to be a challenge with them. Some of those students have been, they've missed school for 18 months and their life had been social media or a screen. And to bring those kids back in and to get them used to the structure of school, the schedule of school, how to behave, we knew that was going to be a challenge. So we received a LEARNS grant of around $2 million. We shuffled some of our CARES money around to where we provided out of the first round of CARES and LEARNS grant combined, we added 34 staff members just for that purpose. And we were calling them student support coaches because we knew that those students were going to need some support in coming back into school, whether it be attendance, whether it be social emotional, whatever their need may be. We wanted staff members there at each school to help out. Now we did just also reallocate an additional $1.5 million of our CARES fund to bring in an additional 17 instructional staff members to help with another problem that we were having, but also to serve in this role as well. So we've added, just with our federal dollars, quite a few staff members to really surround those kids and with love, which a lot of them may need in the school system. But with this, and while I'm on the grant, so I talked about our CARES, our LEARNS. We are also, right now, Mr. Hirsch is working on, glad he's here, but we are actually working on a grant through the Virginia Department of Health. That's called the VISTA grant. That is going to provide us with test kits that can be used in a couple of ways. So there's two parts of this grant. I'll talk about the test kits real quick. The test kits will be available for those families that want their child to be tested weekly. They would have to fill out a form. It's only on a parent approved basis that they fill out the form if they want it, and then they go into a pool and they can be tested. The other piece of that testing component is that when we quarantine, it's a 10-day quarantine, but they can test after day 5 and come back on day 7. Right now, what we're hearing is that a lot of parents are having trouble finding those tests within the community. And so by us getting these tests, this will allow us to send one home with the child or send it to the parent or have the parent come pick it up, somehow get it to them, to where on day 5, they call this phone number. It's a proctored test by a company, and they have to do it over the phone and complete the test. And then they send us the results, and then we can come in, and then they can come in on day 7. So it's really to help get our students and our staff back 3 days early, because again, we want to protect instruction to the best of our ability. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we lengthen that classroom time for those students. Also, a piece of this is to get we're actually calling it, or Mike, you may have to correct me on it, but COVID coordinator. It will be a registered nurse, and all they're going to do is kind of take some of the stuff off of Mr. Hirsch's group and work with this. We're also hiring 2 other positions with this grant if we get this grant. that will also support in that. We also want to be able to open up our testing to our community. So we've talked about that. If you can't get it at CVS or Walmart, then maybe we open up a community testing site once a week to allow people to come in the community to also get tests. So I know we received quite a few of those, and we want to be able to provide a service back to the community and to help them as well. We're also looking at, right now we are applying for a DEQ grant. As everybody probably knows, our buses they need a little bit of love as well. We have 30-some buses that are going to be either on the verge of being out of date or out of service according to Virginia Department of Education guidelines. We did buy 8 new buses last year, but this grant, they will actually reimburse, if we are awarded the grant, they will reimburse $20,000 per bus. And so a bus typically right now runs around $115,000. And so if they can knock that cost down to $95,000, then that'll allow us to throw those funds back in to purchase additional buses later on, because that's on a reimbursement basis. And our goal right now is we're looking at this grant to try to get 10 buses, which will help us put another dent into our bus problem that we have. So those are some of the things that we have going on as far as grants and the funds that are coming in and programs within the school. Our issues this year have been staffing. You know, and I know you guys as business owners and leaders within the community, you're experiencing the same thing. You know, it's kind of tough when you're trying to run a school and the principal gives you a call and says, hey, I have 12 unfilled positions, and you cannot find 12 subs. And so our teachers are volunteering and giving up their planning period to go in and cover classes. Administrators are going in and covering classes. I was scheduled a couple of days, and when I arrived, they told me, oh, we got to cover it. I was going to sub. We're all trying to do our part to make sure that we have classes covered. That's really been a challenge for us. We are down right now, 10, we have 10 open positions. We have 14 instructional assistant positions open still on our website. That's just been a real struggle for us this year. And we're trying to do our best to make sure that we can get it taken care of. But again, it's not, you guys, you know exactly what we're going through because you're probably experiencing it firsthand as well. It has been a challenge. But this has been the one thing that is our main focus right now. And we really want to put a lot of effort into that to make sure that really our staff, they're just stressed. Teachers are stressed because now they're not just having to cover their class. Now some of them are covering other classes. Now the board did help, and I do want to say I appreciate Mrs. Bauer and the Warren County School Board. They have been a pleasure to work with, and I enjoy working for them. That each board member has the best interest of all of our children at heart, and I appreciate their leadership and their guidance. And you know, with them approving just a couple of weeks ago, and even last week, we increased our substitute stipend to $120 for a long-term sub, $100 per day. We have it on the docket for this next work session. We're going to increase our nurse substitute pay. We're trying to get that up there, but again, just because we bump it up doesn't mean people are going to buy it. You got to make sure you put the right plug out there when you throw that in the water. Otherwise, the fish are not going to buy it. And so we were hoping this was one of the things that would help us in getting additional people coming into our system. So I'm going to also talk a little bit about. Oh, okay. Well, I do want to leave time for question and answer. So I'll just cover a couple things. We do have a lot of projects going on as far as we did some things last year. We put AS Roads is completed. The total renovation is done. We've also completed some small projects. We have the greenhouse at Skyline High School. We put up a fence at E. Wilson Morrison. We're going to be, we're actually got some folks to finish or complete that. So I know Mr. Livis is looking at that. We're going to get that done. We had some concrete pillar work done at Skyline Middle School, some asphalt at AS Roads, and then the roof at Skyline High School that was leaking. And so we did get those repairs done. So a lot of those projects, we do have CARES funds set aside. We know LFK is our next project as far as a renovation for school. It is an open concept school built in the 70s. The HVAC is a water-based system, so you cannot bring in any outside air. So we are actually tagging $8 million of our CARES fund to put in an HVAC system there. And the goal there is to save our taxpayer dollars because we have the federal funds available to do that project. And so we're expecting that project to be around $16 million. So this would be half of the cost of that project. And it would not be anything coming through. So, but we would need the support for the other half. But anyway, I'll stop there. Sorry, when I get up here and I get talking, I can talk all day long. So, but I'll take any questions and I'll do the best that I can to answer.
I have one question, if that's all right. So with the staffing, I'm glad you touched on it. We're all dealing with it. I know Warren County is the only county. I know it's everywhere. With the teacher vacancies, I don't really have a feel what that's like because teachers are on years. On what's the likelihood, not necessarily Warren County, but to any school district, that they will fill a position mid-year? Are schools competing for teachers in different cities or different school districts? Are they poaching teachers? Like what? Without speaking to Warren County or putting them in the spot to Warren County specifically, what does that look like for someone in your position and trying to fill those teacher positions right now? What's that look like?
Okay, so we are working diligently to fill all those positions. We are thinking outside the box. We are in communication with our colleges and universities to see, are we going to have any mid-year graduates that may be. But to answer your question, yes, everybody is competing. So if you were to look at vacancies at all the divisions around us, you're going to see them there. Now, luckily, we just were able to hire a civics teacher. We were able to hire, and I think we were just able to hire a math teacher at Skyline Middle School. So we are getting some of those positions in.
Fourth grade teacher.
Fourth grade
Hilda.
teacher at Hilda. So we are getting those positions in. It's just some of them are even out of. They were in another field, and so they're coming in to education. And so we're working through that process to get them their certification and get them their teaching license. And then we're sticking them in the classroom. But it is a challenge, and yes, we do compete. I know Mr. Goodwin posted a vacancy yesterday that could bring in somebody from outside, and yes, we would hire them, and that would put the other division in a bind. But they would do the same thing to us.
I mean, so does every other industry here, but I just wasn't sure. Yes. Teachers are on a year. I wasn't sure.
Typically, what you see with schools is that if it's a promotion. So if it's a teacher going to an admin role, or what they see as an admin role, or can be titled as an admin role, then schools, even us, will let the teacher out of the contract because that is better for that individual.
Right.
We're here to support them in their overall goal for their career, and so we do give them that benefit. And we've let people out this year because it was a move vertically for them.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
The federal grant for the support purchase, is that a 1 year, 2 year, like how long is that for?
So that's for 2 years.
2 years.
That's for this year and next year. So our grant cycles are some of our CARES funding runs out to 23 and some of it runs out to 24. So if we have any of those funds left, we're going to try to grab another year.
Yes, sir.
So it seems like sometimes when local school boards are making a decision, they're kind of being held at gunpoint by either state or federal boards. Can you elaborate on that linkage and potentially what that means if we went against the recommendations of the state or federal?
So when you have, and there's a lot of different things that go into that, not just can you lose funding or can you, there is a risk assessment that has to be done. So yes, typically when you have a law or you have a directive from the General Assembly or even something from the Department of Education or from the Federal Department of Education, when that is sent down to you, you have no option to not to implement it. That is something that is a requirement. A lot of times those are, back in the day, you used to hear them as unfunded mandates. It was here, you're required to do this, but we're not going to give you money for it. So typically when we get into those situations, yes, it's just something that through conversation with the school board and with the school board attorney and a lot of looking into what the law or the regulation or anything has to do with it, then yes, the school board, they have nothing they can't say. It is something that has to be approved or we have to implement. And a lot of those things don't even come to the board because it is automatically coming down as a law that you have to implement this. So really there's no reason for the board to act on it because it's the law.
It's a little frustrating to the board's constituents, though.
Mm-hmm.
If the constituents disagree with the federal or state law.
Right.
And I would encourage you to do whatever you can to help the school board push back against anything that our community doesn't want. That's a challenging task.
Well, that is, especially when you're looking at situations where, does it put the school division in a legal bind as far as financially on down the road?
Yes, but if it's not right for the community, then that's a challenge.
Well, that's a challenge, but then, the one thing that when it comes to funding is that, yes, if it's going to put you in a funding bind, then what you're doing is you're going out here, you're telling these teachers that I'm going to have to go out here and choose how many teachers are not going to have a job. Right. And how many teachers are not going to be in a classroom. And the trickle down effect is taking if you lose 50 students in our division out of all of the schools that we have, that really is not, even though that could be a teacher's position or two, you really cannot get rid of that teacher because it's not in one building. It's spread across different grades and different buildings. And so even though I may lose students in each of these grades, say third grade in every elementary school, enough for 2 teachers, well, I can't combine those classes because of where they live, and that you still may have 20 students in that classroom. So each classroom was reduced by 2 students, which yes, you're losing that funding, but you still have 20 students in the classroom. And so when it comes to that funding issue and making sure that you still have the staffing available, the other thing when you look at it from the school division standpoint is, yes, we want to do what's right for our community. And it is unfortunate that when you have the conversation with your insurance provider and you're talking through, okay, what about this? I'll just say, let's just talk about the mask. Let's just throw that out there. I don't like wearing masks, but it's where I'm at. It's what I have to do. My daughter didn't want to wear a mask. She's a junior at Skyline High School this year.
There's only been about 400 deaths nationally among the schools.
Yeah. So let's just talk about that. So if you look at,
that doesn't really make sense because the flu actually takes out more kids on an annual basis
Yeah.
I'm sorry, out of respect for everyone's time, yeah, I'm just saying, I have to let you go. Can I get you to draw really quick? And if you have any other questions, please stay and let me know the 50-50 number. Sorry, there's no reading without these. 631-8724. 631-8724. All right. Yes.
Well, we want
Good
to.
job, Don. If you will stand and recite the four-way test with me.
Three things say or do. First is the truth. Second is it fair to all concerned. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships. Fourth, is beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.